Hey, this is just a response on the spray foaming video. A lot of people had some great suggestions about running wiring through conduit and some concerns as well about putting piping into foam and things like that. I guess a couple layers to my answer. First layer is, hey, we did actually run some conduit. So we got conduit and vertical sections in the walls that we can run wires through. Probably my biggest reason why we didn't run conduit everywhere is because to get to all the corners of the van from our electrical area here, the amount of 90-degree turns that are happening in conduit make it extremely difficult to pull wire through, especially thick wire. And I didn't really want to deal with that. And so my theory with running the electrical was, if I know where I'm going to put 90% of the wires, why don't I just run them all ahead of time? And if I ever need to maintain something, I'm not actually going to need to pull that wire out unless the wire itself is not working. And so one of the negatives of doing this method is, if for some reason a wire shorts out somewhere in here and it's just not connecting from end to end anymore, then I no longer get to use that wire, which is unfortunate, but that's a compromise, because if we were going to run enough conduit for all of our wiring here, it's a bit of a rat's nest, but I've got 3 sections of conduit going up the center column here. And to run 3 90-degree elbows everywhere in the van is, well, it wouldn't be everywhere necessarily, but to get that size conduit to where we need to go, there's metal ribs in the van that I can't get it through in every instance. So to get to the upper corners and to the bottom corners, I can't run conduit everywhere. I could maybe do 1 run of conduit, but it also wouldn't get to all my corners. And so I could do length run of conduit, where it would go the length of the van. And that's a really helpful method that I've seen people do. But frankly, I was just really comfortable with oversizing all of my wires, running them pretty strategically, and then just making it so I can't pull them out. And again, the negative of that is, for some reason, like if this AC wire run I did right here, which is labeled for, this is front AC, so that's the 2 outlets up there. If for some reason this wire stops working, then I literally just have to cut this off and this wire is not going to work anymore, because it's encased in foam in some areas, and that's going to be a hassle. But if I want to run new wires up and down the sides of the van, I can do that. And I can just, how most people actually build vans, a lot of the electrical stuff that people do in cabinets is just the corners of the cabinets inside notched out, so you can run wires down it like inside a boat. Anyhow, that's just a lot to say. There was some concerns about, hey, like what happens if stuff breaks? Like what, in my opinion, I don't think wires themselves are going to break that much. And in the rare chance that one does, we'll just run a new one inside the cabinets. I was trying to just prevent having basically 4 inches of wires in the corner of every cabinet. And I also had no interest in running 3 runs of conduit everywhere for the amount of wiring that we have in this build. It's a very electric intensive build. Okay, the other expressed concern was over water piping being in the walls. What happens if there's a leak? You can't get it out. We know where all the joints are. So basically, I know where all my 90-degree elbows are that get my piping out of the wall. Those are the main areas where it would leak, because that's where the connections are. So 2 answers to that. Yes, we pressure tested everything beforehand to make sure that the pipes were holding water pressure. We pressurized it with air. I can't remember the exact PSI that we tested it to, but then we also tested it with water. So there wasn't leaking then, but leaks could definitely happen. So in the extremely unfortunate circumstance that we get a leak, the foam, you can actually scrape it and pull it away. So this obviously is not ideal, but the foam isn't as permanent. Obviously, we don't want to pull the foam out and just put different insulation in, but for isolated areas to do repairs, you can actually scrape away a lot of that foam pretty quickly with even like a fork or a knife. Maybe you don't want to use a knife around some of your wires, but it's not as difficult as you'd think to just start scraping away sections of foam and break away sections. So we shaped a lot of the foam to the walls actually to make it kind of fit inside there. So that's an update to the spray foam video. I feel bad that we didn't include more of that. These are some very great suggestions in the comments. So thanks for everyone for putting their tips in, and I just wanted to share some of the thought process behind it, and look forward to hearing more about some of the projects that you're working on.